All right, so we're diving deep today into a topic a bunch of you have been asking about, uh, learning accents, dialects, all that. You sent us some pretty cool stuff on it.
Yeah, some really interesting resources. And the goal here is, I guess, to distill it down to, like, what are the techniques that actually work, the techniques that you can use to start sounding like a local, wherever local is for you.
Exactly, wherever local is.
So to kick things off, maybe we should clarify a little distinction, right? A lot of people use accent and dialect interchangeably.
Right.
But there is, like, a subtle difference. Think of an accent as, like, the tune you play. It's about pronunciation.
Okay.
While a dialect is like the whole song.
Yeah.
So it's the words you use, the grammar, and also the pronunciation.
Gotcha. So the whole package.
Exactly. And knowing this difference can really help you target your learning, like focus on one thing at a time.
Right.
And it's important to remember, these ways of speaking, they're not just about sounds. They're tied to identity. They're tied to how we see each other, how we perceive each other, the opportunities we get even.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like even the way you speak can open or close doors for you. Crazy.
Yeah, it is. But the cool thing is, accents, dialects, these are skills that you can learn. It's not just something you're born with. With the right approach, with effort, anyone can pick up a new way of speaking.
So, like, where do you even start with that?
Yeah.
Like, where do you even begin to, like, wrap your head around changing how you pronounce things?
Yeah, well, it all boils down to the science of sound, phonetics,
Phonetics.
And there's this thing called the International Phonetic Alphabet, the IPA.
Okay.
It's basically like a universal translator for sounds, right? Each symbol represents a specific sound. So it allows you to pinpoint and reproduce any sound you hear, regardless of your own native language.
That is so cool. So you can break down any sound and know exactly how to make it. So could you give us a quick example maybe of how this actually, like, plays out in different accents?
Sure, yeah. So think about the word dance, right?
Okay, dance.
So in, like, general American English, that first vowel sound, the A, it's often pronounced with a slightly different mouth shape than it would be in, say, received pronunciation, that sort of standard British accent.
Okay.
And that received pronunciation, they're going to use a slightly broader A sound.
Interesting. I never really thought about that before.
Yeah, or think about the R sound in park,
Park. Okay.
In a lot of American accents, you pronounce that R very clearly. But in many British accents, it's not pronounced at all. It's just silent.
Ah, interesting. Yeah. So it's not like random changes. There's an actual system to it.
Right, exactly. Each accent has its own set of rules, its own way of using these sounds.
Right. But it's more than just like individual sounds, right?
Yeah.
There's that overall flow to an accent, like how everything kind of hangs together.
You're absolutely right. And that's where we get into what we call super segmental features. So that's stuff like the stress we put on certain syllables, the rise and fall of our voice, the intonation, and then there's the rhythm of our speech.
So the musicality of it.
Exactly. It's like the musicality. You can play all the right notes, right? You can get all the individual sounds correct. But if the rhythm, the intonation is off, the song won't sound right.
So you can say the sounds right, but it just doesn't have that natural flow.
Exactly.
So we understand the sounds, we understand the rhythm, the intonation, that kind of thing. What's the next step? Like, how do you actually learn to do this?
Yeah, so it's about training your ear to really hear the nuances. Active listening is, like, super crucial here.
Okay, active listening.
So you really want to focus on how native speakers emphasize words, the tiny, tiny variations in those vowel and consonant sounds, the overall musicality of their speech. And there's this great exercise you can do, practicing with what we call minimal pairs.
Minimal pairs, okay. What's that?
So those are words that differ by only one sound, like ship and sheep.
Right, ship and sheep, okay.
Yeah, so by focusing on these subtle differences, you really sharpen your auditory discrimination, your ability to hear those little distinctions.
Makes sense, like training your ear to pick up on those little details. So, okay, you train your ear, you can hear the differences. Then how do you actually start, like, making those new sounds yourself?
Right, that's where imitation comes in.
Imitation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a good place to start is with shadowing. You listen to audio, like a native speaker talking, and you basically try to repeat it in real time.
Oh,
so this helps you get a feel for the rhythm, the flow, the intonation, all of that. And then you can move on to mimicking.
Okay.
Which is similar, but now you're also trying to copy the intonation, the facial expressions, like all the nonverbal cues you see when someone's speaking.
I see.
And it's really important to choose clear, authentic speakers as your models. Not just actors who are obviously very good at accents, but real people speaking naturally.
Right, authentic. So are there any tools or resources that you would recommend?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there are so many resources out there these days. There are online guides, websites, apps. Like some apps even give you feedback on your pronunciation, which is really cool.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And working with a dialect coach, if you can be really helpful because they can give you personalized guidance. But you can also go old school. There are accent books.
Oh, yeah.
There are online archives of spoken language. Like the British Library has a fantastic sound archive.
Yeah, tons of resources.
Tons, yeah.
So what about just immersing yourself in the accent? Like if you watch enough movies or TV shows or whatever, does that kind of naturally lead to picking it up?
Immersion can definitely be super helpful, especially for internalizing that overall sound and rhythm. Watching movies, TV shows, listening to music, podcasts, all of that exposes you to the accent in context.
Right.
But the key is active listening. You can't just have it on in the background. You really have to pay attention.
You have to be intentional about it.
Exactly. And even better than just listening is interacting directly with native speakers. That's where you can really get feedback and practice in real time.
Yeah, it makes sense. So like language exchange partners or online community, something like that.
Exactly, yeah.
It seems like a pretty big undertaking. Any advice on staying focused, not getting discouraged?
Yeah, I mean, it can feel overwhelming. I think the biggest thing is to focus on one accent at a time.
Okay.
Don't try to learn everything at once.
Yeah.
And set small, achievable goals, like maybe master a few new sounds each week or practice a particular phrase until it sounds natural. And remember, even short, regular practice sessions are way more effective than infrequent, long ones.
Yeah, consistency.
Consistency is key. And be patient with yourself. It takes time and effort to retrain your muscles and your brain.
It's like learning any skill, right?
Exactly.
Patience and persistence. Practice makes perfect, as they say.
That's it.
So how do you know if your practice is actually paying off?
Well, a good way is to record yourself speaking and then compare it to a native speaker. Like, listen to yourself critically.
Right.
This can be really eye-opening. And then seek feedback from native speakers or a coach, if you have one, and try to actively incorporate their suggestions. And practice in different scenarios, like read aloud, do some role-playing, even just chat to yourself in the accent.
The more you use it, the better you get at it.
Absolutely.
It's really fascinating to me how much more there is to an accent than just like the sounds of the letters.
Oh, totally. I mean, accents are deeply connected to culture, to history, to identity.
Yeah.
So when you're learning an accent, it's not just about mimicking sounds.
Right.
It's about understanding where those sounds come from.
Yep.
Approach learning with curiosity, with respect, and recognize that, like, within any single language, there's this huge variety of accents.
Oh, yeah. Like so many different accents within English itself.
Exactly. And appreciating this cultural richness, that's a big part of the journey.
It's not just learning the sounds, it's understanding the people, the history, all that, right?
Totally.
Yeah. All right. So, as to bring it all together, learning an accent is about understanding the mechanics of speech, training your ear, practicing imitation, using all those tools that are out there, but also engaging with the culture.
Yeah, that's a great summary. It's a holistic thing.
Exactly. And for you, our listener, think about how learning to speak with a different accent might open up new connections, new understandings in the world around you. It's a really interesting thought to consider. Thanks for exploring this with us on The Deep Dive.